Good morning. This is Kelly Koerner. I'm a clinical psychologist based up here in Seattle, Washington. This is my colleague and friend,
Linda Dimeff. Hello, everyone. Good morning.
And we are going to be co-teaching a new format. And this course is meant to be super fun. I think that may be the highest value, but it has to be more than fun probably for it to be worth your money. So the other major goal is to raise your ability to do skills training. And we're going to focus on a number of things, but it's a learn by doing class. So I'll show you what I mean by that in just a second. Most of us,
which is me.
Yeah, which is me. This is me, okay? I always feel like an imposter, like this is me pretending to be a cow. So I'm figuring we all feel like that, and we're just going to have to feel like that. If we're going to get better, we have to sort of expose ourselves. We're going to show up in our pug cowness and really try to move ourselves ahead, but take some risks. This is the spirit. We're just going to be trying stuff and trying it again and kind of trying it again. But like the kind of stuff where you're laying on the floor and getting dirty stuff, you know, where it's not fancy. It's just us all playing together, kind of trying together. And our schedule is there's going to be a kickoff session like today's, and then there's going to be a show and tell about a month apart. So you're going to do as much as you can, given our guidance, to make some improvements, and then you're going to show and tell your improvements, okay? I'm going to tap a song for you, and I would like you to say what the name of the song is. Did anybody else get that? I cannot believe you got that. That is of a certain age. Yes. So what I just did is this really interesting experiment, and I'm surprised that somebody got it. But tappers versus listeners, when you are tapping, when I am tapping, smoke on the water, fire in the sky, when it's silent, I really feel like you should be able to get it. And then when you're not getting it, I would like do it more. Like this is what our teaching examples are like. This is what when we explain the homework. This is like when we do an exercise and we're like thinking they're going to draw the right conclusion, like now. So, you know, what I want you guys to try is you have to get this from the inside. What is it actually like when you think it is so clear and you can hear it? It's so vivid. So try this with somebody in your life, a teammate, a coworker later. I want you guys to get so that you can teach in a way that's sticky, that's memorable, that is really likely to be used by clients when they need it. How does something become sticky? What are its characteristics? And how can you do it on purpose? So I've distilled that down into 4 steps that you guys are going to rehearse over and over and over throughout our time. The first step of it is being able to link whatever you're teaching to people's own goals. So take mindfulness, and if you think of a group, whoever is your typical group, you know, whoever you usually teach, why is mindfulness important to them? How is it relevant? One way you can think about that is what do they urgently need or what do they desperately want to avoid? To tolerate painful emotions and remain present. Slowing down before solving problems, okay. Not believe all the thoughts. Okay, really nice, you guys. Now, remember the tapping thing? Here's what I want you to do. I want you now to move out of your own head for a second, you know, how you might phrase it. And if you were going to be their client, your client, and they were going to tell you what they urgently need and what they desperately want to avoid, and you were going to put it in their own words, what would you say then? Sometimes next thing I know, I am angry and I didn't see it coming. Nice. To feel better. To stop using drugs and alcohol. She wants to get her shit in the same pot. So So now this first one, it's this ability to shift and really get in your clients' bodies before they walk through the door at Skillz Group. Step number 2 of being so that you are really an engaging, effective teacher is being clear on what the response is you want. And I like this little from, to, think, do table. And so I'd like to have you guys do this. If you think of observe or whatever other skill that matters to you, if you think of where your group is now, how do they think about observe? Are there any common misconceptions? Ways they just get it wrong. And then if you did, what do you want them to move to? Like, what should they think after you've taught the skill? All right, so the do, this is from, what did they do right now, your group, what do they do right now when they do observe? And then, what do you want them to move to? You can do from, to, think, do on practically anything where you're thinking about shaping. The real thing that this is meant to facilitate in you is a different way to kind of come at the from part as getting into their skin. What is the heart of core mindfulness in a simple, prioritized, kind of elegant way? Like, if mindfulness was a movie, what would the movie's title be? Living Free. Ooh, I like that one. If you open your eyes. That makes me curious. This thing is, what is the one key point of the skill? You want to take that core message and make it stick. You want them to pay attention. You want them to understand and remember it, to believe it, to care about it, and to act on it. But once you've got the core message, then you're going to sort of spiff it up in specific ways to make it sticky, okay? You guys are going to learn to do all of these steps. Unexpected, this is where you're going to break the expectations. So if they walk in and they kind of are expecting things to go one way, you make them go really different. Concrete, there's some very interesting data out here about adding concrete detail. If I tell you a little tiny detail, like instead of just saying I'm drinking tea, I'm actually drinking Russian caravan tea that I used to think of as Russian camel tea. I don't know where I got the camel dung tea, right? If I tell you a little off-topic detail, you are actually more likely to remember whatever else I teach right around that time. Concrete, you want to think both, explaining the concept, but also explaining the skill. So like giving very concrete examples of how to practice, how it looks. Credible, making something believable. If you were to make the core mindfulness stuff credible, one way that you could do that would be to tell a story about how you used it, how another client used it, how a person in distress who was famous used it. Emotional, this is where we already started to do this, but this is where you link to the person's goals and you make them care about it. You can do this with music, you can do it with imagery to evoke this kind of emotional response. You can, but this gets to the story, metaphor, analogy, and this is why I say this is the best one to work on first, is if you have a story, a metaphor, or an analogy, something that gets you going as you start to teach a skill or a module, that really helps. This 4-step thing here, link to goal, shaping step, essence, and then using something that makes it sticky. We're going to rehearse this as we go, so you got it. We're all stuck between accepting where we are, wanting to get better, and having to toggle between work, other demands. This is a period of time for you to really focus on making that next step for you. That is what we're going to practice. I was thinking about this is when I look at myself in the mirror, what do I want? I want you guys to see, I see a unicorn. a badass unicorn. I would really love it if we all leave this class feeling, kind of like that, like we're some badass unicorns.